Hi, I'm Hannah, and this is how I approached redesigning the record cover for Glass Animal's third album, Dreamland. I began with listening to the album to get familiar with the themes and meanings, as well as researching the band and looking at some previous album covers for inspiration. I found that most of the songs on this album were written during a time of sadness when one of the band members was in a coma recovering from a nearly fatal accident. The band's singer and songwriter David Bailey said he spent most of this time reminiscing about better times and happy memories from his childhood, using this as an escape. This comes through in the album where he reflects on the good times as well as the bad times and the relationships he's had with different people throughout his life. There is no one single element that ties the entire album together, but there are many similar themes throughout. I then brainstormed concepts and themes that I felt were relevant to the feeling of nostalgia and escapism, and noted a lot of the references throughout the album from the 90s and early 2000s pop culture. I settled on 3 concepts, the first of which was an illustration of a kid riding a bike with a very dramatic sense of movement and forced perspective to give it a real dream-like quality. The second was a collage of images one would associate with a 90s childhood, like toy cars, Slinkies, early PlayStation consoles, VCRs, cassette tapes, all spilling out of the lead singer's Dave Bailey's head. The final concept was a diorama of paradise, with a doll sitting on an island. The idea references childhood through the use of the doll and the cardboard diorama, and also refers to 90s album art like The Cure's album cover Boys Don't Cry by Bill Smith and Primal Scream's album art by Paul Canal. They use imagery that looks like children's art to create bold contrast and simple eye-catching scenes. I created the set by first making the chairs from strips of balsa wood and fabric and sketching out and cutting out all of the cardboard elements. To create the land, I covered a bowl with plasticine and mixed sugar, food colouring and a bit of paint to create the sand. I then pressed the sand onto the plasticine. The front of the album cover follows the rule of thirds both vertically and horizontally to create a grid with the land as the focal point in the centre. While the front of the album cover shows the idyllic scene or dreamland, the back of the album cover shows the behind the scenes of the diorama and reveals the not so nice truth about reality, as Bailey often refers to on his album. The empty chair is meant to be an open invitation for anyone to join and escape with this doll into this dreamland. I used the same imagery for the poster, where the 2 scenes are mirrored across the midline. The bold text is meant to be referencing comic books of the 80s and 90s like Superman or X-Men with high contrast large font. The center sticker of the record is the top view of the island or bird's eye view with no text to keep the image really clear. The final result is a somewhat minimalist appearance, but very catching, diverges from previous album art by the band, in that it is bright, vibrant, high contrast colors and very simple blocks.